On this episode of the Ducks Unlimited podcast, we're sitting down with Ich Stewart from the Public Timber Project. Going to be talking about how you can leave our public lands a little bit better than you found them. Tune in.
Can we do a mic check, please?
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Ducks Unlimited podcast.
I'm your host, Dr. Mike Brazier.
I'm your host, Katie Burke.
I'm your host, Dr. Jerad Henson. And I'm your host, Matt Harrison.
Welcome to the Ducks Unlimited podcast, the only podcast about all things waterfowl. From hunting insights to science-based discussions about ducks, geese, and issues affecting waterfowl and wetlands conservation in North America. The DU Podcast, sponsored by Purina Pro Plan, the official performance dog food of Ducks Unlimited. Purina Pro Plan, always advancing. Also proudly sponsored by Bird Dog Whiskey and Cocktails. Whether you're winding down with your best friend or celebrating with your favorite crew, Bird Dog brings award-winning flavor to every moment. Enjoy responsibly.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Ducks Unlimited podcast. I'm Dr. Jerad Henson. I'm going to be your host today. We got a cool episode. Special guest today is Ich Stewart with the Public Timber Project. Ich, thanks for being here, man.
Thanks for having us.
I've been kind of a fan of what y'all been doing for a long time and really wanted to get you on here. Tell us about your story. Tell us a little bit about you and kind of take us through the progression of things, where you're hoping to see this project go. And so I think I'll start off with just turning the mic over to you. Tell us a little bit about who you are, your backstory, and kind of how you got to where you are now.
Yeah, thanks for that. I think first off, I'm a duck hunter. Just a regular, nobody, average, everyday boat ramp duck hunter in Arkansas. Family's been in Arkansas forever. I think we're like 12th generation hillbilly Arkansas family. Family's all originally from up in that Walnut Ridge, Paragould, Black River country, but we hunt all over the state. We got a camp further south from there. I had a career in land management working for the feds. I retired from the U.S. Forest Service a number of years ago. I spent most of my adult life fighting forest fires, actually, for the Forest Service. So that took me all over the God's green earth, all the mountain states and southern states, you name it. And eventually they told me to put the chainsaw down and stop fighting fires, and they put me in an office, and I got more involved with land management at the higher levels and management with the Forest Service, and retired as a district ranger on the Ouachita National Forest out of Mount Ida, actually, the Cattle Womble Ranger District. They detailed me in there, and right before I set sails and left the agency. Had a great career. Definitely worked for the agency back in the glory days when more of our money and our attention was spent on the ground work. And we weren't so top heavy and process oriented. We were more product oriented agency back in the day. And was grateful for my career. And, you know, the wife wanted to know, what the heck are you going to do when you retire with all your free time? And it was a firefighter retirement, so it got me out fairly young. I was able to retire just a few years ago. And I'm fixing to turn 50 this next weekend, so I still have a little youth on my side, I guess you could say.
That's a good retirement plan.
And so I'm just a sick in the head duck hunter. That's all I've really ever cared about. So before I retired, I was in the position where I could take off most of our duck season at Arkansas. You know, I could take off most of them 60 days and hunt anyways. And so now we just crappie fish a lot, do some turkey hunting, and chase whitetail with our bows. And when it's duck season, we chase ducks. I do a little dog training too, and like to play with dogs. And it's just kind of been my life. It's been my family's life, and hunting and fishing and trapping. That's just kind of always been the main focus. And one of the reasons I got into fighting fire is when I first looked at career paths, and I didn't really have a good plan for my life, but I found out this at 20-year retirement. I was like, you kidding me? I got to run around the woods with a chainsaw and fight fires for 20 years, and then I can retire and go hunt and fish the rest of my life? That sounds like the best deal ever. Of course, most fellas don't make it to 20 years because it's a tough job. I think I was too dumb to quit, so I just kept going. Or I didn't have a plan.
Especially going out west.
Yeah,
I mean, that's tough. Yeah,
it's fun though. Yeah, it's fun,
imagine.
Especially back in the days when they didn't give us a whole lot of rules. It was the Wild West, man. It was a good time. Yeah, so that career was able to get me back home to Arkansas, me and my wife, And so great career. Also a lot of frustrations coming from a career in land management for the feds, and a lot of insight in terms of maybe some of the hurdles we're facing in terms of land management, and some of the disconnects that we're dealing with between federal agencies, nonprofits, and the public. Seeing all that firsthand as a district ranger, seeing shrinking budgets and shrinking personnel,
staff,
tension between the agencies and the public, and then what ends up suffering is the resources. It's the land and the wildlife. And so just seeing that firsthand, it left a bad taste in my mouth before I got out. And getting out and just putting all my effort towards hunting ducks and chasing ducks. And I think we're probably like a lot of duck hunting crews across the country, especially over in Arkansas. We love to complain,
Of
we
course.
love to sit around and talk about why we're not shooting more ducks. Of course, it's never our fault. So
or we want to complain about the other guy that
always
ran his boat too fast and was acting like a jerk.
It's never our fault. It's always somebody else's fault.
Yeah.
It's AGFC's fault, or it's the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service's fault, or it's those
somebody should clean.
It's the rich boys with flooded
that.
corn. It's their fault. We ought to outlaw that, and you never look in the mirror. And so I think honestly, we got sick of hearing ourselves complain, and we thought, well, what could we do? What could we start here in the state that's solution oriented? And
that's awesome. Yeah.
And that sort of kind of led us down a mental exercise of coming up with ideas and brainstorming, and inevitably that sort of leads you down the little rabbit trail of what are we really facing in terms of duck hunting in Arkansas? What are the trends we're looking at? Are we headed in a good direction? What direction might we want to kind of turn and face towards a little bit moving forward?
Yeah.
We just started thinking about the culture of duck hunting, public land duck hunting, which I kind of identify with that cultural group, if you will.
Yeah.
As access to private land has become less and less obtainable by poor folks.
Not even poor folks.
Well, it's changed,
In
right?
general, right?
Access and change. The access to land has changed so much.
These are things that I've talked about a lot. If you look back 20 years ago, if you had a median household income job, you could afford a duck lease.
Right.
You're going to really struggle unless you go in with 10 friends to try and pick up a lease.
Boy, and even then,
And you're gonna be
halfway through the
stretched.
season, you're going to get a call from the farmer and say somebody just doubled your price. You're out there.
That's
in.
it, right?
It's
You know,
happened.
and so it's changed, and so now you've got like you're. I think kind of the point you're taking is you've got more people pushed on a smaller piece of property or public lands, and they got more money.
Yeah.
You see more fancy duck boats and trucks than you think you ever would have seen 20
Well,
30 years
yeah.
ago,
You don't
so.
spend that money on a lease. You're going to buy a faster boat, a new set of
Right.
tires, and a couple new decoys, and just hit the public hard.
Yep.
And so, here's to start this whole conversation off with just dispelling some truths. I think here, some facts. Okay. So I think everybody in the duck world knows that nationally duck hunter numbers are down. Right. That's just sort of the world we're living in. We'd like to see those numbers on the rise again. We'd like to see more
That's
folks
more
get
voice
into it.
and more.
You bet.
Yeah.
But on public land in Arkansas, even though nationally our numbers are down, our hunter density is up.
It is. Yeah.
So that's sort of contrary to this larger national discussion of hunting numbers are down, but on our public lands, and it's not just in Arkansas, it's in North Texas, it's in Oklahoma. I mean, we're all in this together.
And you go up into the prairie states and people trying to make trips up to South Dakota, North Dakota. Yeah, you see the same thing.
So
Missouri.
we see more hunter density, which that equals more pressure.
It does.
And you just start to see some trends, and we can get into some of them, and especially some of us older hunters that have been around and hunted for a while. We see these trends head in a dangerous direction.
Yeah.
And so we've got more and more hunters hunting smaller and smaller areas.
Of course.
Less and less access, increased density, increased pressure. Which whenever you increase pressure on wildlife, you push waterfowl off of an area.
Yeah.
And-
Any wildlife in general.
Right.
But yeah.
And so
Waterfowl
there's this whole
especially.
trend going on, and there's a whole, you can break that down into lots of little categories. But we look at this whole thing, and it's like, man, what is missing in the waterfowl world in terms of management and conservation? We need to have a voice for the public land hunter. We need to have, I think, so much of the frustration and anger in the public hunting community is because they don't feel like they've got a voice. They don't feel like they have a say in things.
Right.
And part of that's our own fault. We can get into that a little bit later. But so what would a polite, professional, constructive, solution-oriented public land hunter voice and perspective look like? What would a movement that's positive and solution-oriented look like? And so that was the mental exercise. And my buddy said, well, let's just go clean up a boat ramp. Let's just clean up a boat ramp and turn on a camera and have a discussion. And we'll just take it from there because, shoot, every time we go hunting, it starts at the boat ramp, it ends at the boat ramp. So maybe our conservation work should start right there at the boat ramp.
Yeah.
So we went down to Clarendon on the White. I don't know if anyone's ever hunted out of Clarendon. It's access to a lot of great country, but it is a trashy boat ramp, man.
It's also real easy to get to.
It's really easy to get to. And
From the
talk about
interstate,
a place. It's just got broken
Yeah.
glass and garbage just everywhere,
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, I grew up hunting out of there. I think the last time I went, I haven't been out of Clarendon in a long time, but I think at 3:30 in the morning there were 130 trucks.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
It's busy.
Yeah, it's
gets
busy. Yeah.
So
we did clean up there.
yeah.
It was just us.
Uh-huh.
And we launched a little Instagram page, you know, and we started trying to tell our story. We weren't a nonprofit. We weren't really anything more than just an idea at that point in time.
How long ago was that?
This is less than a year ago.
Okay. That's
this
what
was
I
like-
figured. Yeah.
This was like teal season last year. We're just
Yeah.
coming up on a year, not even quite. Right?
So I was about to say, I really saw your presence pick up November.
Yeah,
I
that's
guess.
awesome that you even noticed it. I think
Roughly.
that's cool.
My algorithm throws me those things, right?
Yeah.
I'm a lot of things in common with what you're saying. One of the things I also want to back up just a little bit, kind of you were talking about what brought y'all to this point. I think, and some of the concerning things you talked about, and one of those things that really resonates with me, the social media duck hunter, right? And what looks cool and those types of things. And you're focused on one state and you're like, well, we want to stay on this. But that one, everything happening right there tends to be a major part of that social media scene around duck hunting in North America, in the U.S.
Oh, yeah.
That boat ramp scene, the boat race, all of that tends to get a lot of attention.
Oh, we've turned into the cool kids of duck hunting over there running our boats on public land in Arkansas. Everybody's watching us, the good and the bad.
The bad too, right? And
The
that's
bad
the thing,
gets
and that's
the most
what,
attention.
right? And that's kind of what I wanted to back up and show is it's kind of ground zero for the good and the bad.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So there's different layers of conservation, right? There's what y'all are doing with DU on a big international scale, landscape scale.
Right.
That's huge, man. That's important. There's what all the other partners out there are doing. But when you look at that just small scale, just that WMA you're hunting for the day and the way we're behaving, the noise we're making, the pressure we're putting on wildlife, the footprint we're leaving behind, that's that small scale that we're trying to deal with that. Because we believe that little things lead to big things sometimes.
They do. Yeah.
That whole thing, how do you change the world? Well, you start by making your bed. That was sort of one of our mantras when we thought, how can we fix public land duck hunting in Arkansas? And everyone thought we were crazy. We thought, well, let's start the boat ramp, picking up some garbage at the boat ramp. And of course, everyone says that's the dumbest thing.
But it's a start, right? You're not talking anymore.
We're not talking. That's right.
You're doing.
Yeah, shut up and show
action.
up.
You got action, and that's what's really cool.
Yes, we did our first cleanup over there in Clarendon, and we thought, that's pretty cool. Let's do another one.
Yeah.
So we organized more. Of course, we had 0 followers and we had 0 voice. But wouldn't you know, the next cleanup we did, one feller showed up. Hillbilly from the Ozark Mountains. He's now one of my best friends, Blakely Cobb. Coolest dude ever. He showed up more than anything because he knew a couple of my buddies that showed up to clean up because they got some followers and they're kind of respected duck hunters, and he was hoping he might find some mentorship, get to connect with some cool older dudes. And so this relationship with Blakely and how he opened our eyes, this really changed us. We pivoted quickly and we turned into something more than just sort of an idea.
Mm-hmm.
So he showed up and we got to be pretty tight, and he wanted to be really involved. This guy was like, hey, I'm in. This is cool what y'all are doing. I want to get involved. And well, Blakely Cobb is now our vice president of the Public Timber Project, which we're legitimate of an organization now. We've got a vice president. It's crazy to even hear me say
cool.
it. And he really helped open our eyes to how young duck hunters are getting involved with public land duck hunting now. And I think I kind of knew it maybe intuitively a little bit, but I didn't know it for fact. And Blakely's a guy, he's a heck of a good duck hunter, and he's a great conservationist. He's a good man, but he didn't have a mentor.
Right.
And so, he starts explaining to us, and now we've got a lot of young members, and they all are telling us the exact same story that, hey, we didn't have a mentor. I didn't have a dad or an uncle or anyone to teach me right from wrong. I had YouTube videos.
Right.
Dr. Duck and all the different cool channels, and I would just watch them videos, rewind them, pause them, rewind them, watch them again and again, dissect them. And so this YouTube hunting culture that you were talking about, this online duck hunting culture, it's, without us knowing, it's turned into the hunter's education for today.
Right.
These are the dads. Your drunk uncle ain't teaching you how to blow a duck call anymore. It's YouTube.
Right.
That's just what it looks like now. And so started doing more cleanups. And we started doing cleanups on the black. We started seeing a lot more young hunters showing up. Really cool young guys that are new to duck hunting. Maybe they're having some success, but again, they're hungry for this older mentorship, someone to maybe show them the way. And with that, we felt that responsibility because now these kids are, I'm a nobody, or I'm not some great duck hunter, but these kids are looking up to us a little bit, and they're looking for some guidance on how to duck hunt. And I think that's really when this thing kind of went from just a little simple project to a little bit of a movement, a little grassroots movement, and it started to turn into something else. And we started thinking a lot harder about how could we build a platform on social media and become a legitimate organization and help steer a whole new generation of public land duck hunters and maybe be a voice for the problems we're seeing on public lands. It just started with these cleanups, and the cleanups continued going. And I'll tell you, we're at 84 cleanups in less than our first year, plus a dozen site cleanups.
That's awesome.
And we'll hit 100. I said 84 boat ramp cleanups and about a dozen separate site cleanups. We'll hit 100 boat ramps in our first year if I have to count backwards from our anniversary date and do every one of them myself, because I just think that's cool to hit 100 in a year, and that's not nothing. That's doing something. That's 100 boat ramps that you'd be proud of if you pulled up to them right now. I mean, of all the places, I'll just brag on one spot. Black River gets more hunting pressure than anywhere. I mean, social media and lack of access it's at Black River is Mad Max beyond Thunderdome during duck season.
Man, it always blows my mind, especially the past 2 to 3 years. Like, you see people start to line up and camp at the boat ramp.
Oh, a week before opener.
10 days, 14 days before, right? Stack it up. That's kind of pressure. And because of that, there's people staying at those boat ramps, and there's a lot of activity. And
it's our bedroom, and it's our bathroom, and it's our kitchen. And it shows when you pull up to do cleanups, and you're seeing so much duck hunter garbage. And so, real quick, people want to say, well, that could be fishermen, that could be high school kids partying. It ain't. It's us. The stuff we're picking up, this is left behind by duck hunters. Yeah. And that, you start to see that maybe we ought to be looking in the mirror a little bit as just a community. And there's some things that we're missing the boat with. And
accountability is huge, man. I mean, that's.
I'll tell you right now, we'll see by the time opener gets here, but right now, if you went up to the black, you go back up to the black this week and mess around, they're clean.
It's clean.
I mean,
I saw some pictures.
Y'all had them. Well, we've got a chapter up on the Black River, and them boys, you throw a cigarette butt out your truck, somebody's picking it up. And I'm gonna tell you something about I feel like I'm probably just jumping all over the place here, but let's talk about Black River a little bit and clean up, because if you want to talk about WMAs, we got to talk about the black. And I'm not even a Black River hunter, but I'm spending a lot of time up on the black working with guys and trying to solve some of the problems up on the black, because it really is ground zero. If we can't get things figured out in the black, the other WMAs they're in trouble.
Yeah, and this expands. I mean, it's not just Arkansas. It's not just
for sure.
I mean,
it's all.
We can go as far.
These things are just symbolic of
exactly
everything we're seeing with public lands across the country. So Black River is sort of like it's the perfect little test.
Right.
Like tensions are the highest there.
They are.
Politics are the most divided. Black River politics has probably eaten AGFC's lunch more than any other topic. I'm sure they're spending more time talking about it.
It's heated now for sure, because they're proposing doing some some revamps, and it's definitely taking a whole lot.
So let me tell you a little bit about who our chapter members are up there, because it's about the coolest thing in the world. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to mention their names. They gave me permission to mention their names, but I'm not going to do that. But We've got one fella up there that I think he lost his license for 3 years for game and fish violations. I mean, he was the definition of a duck country outlaw, you know, which we love to romanticize. We love to romanticize the duck hunting outlaw, man. You know, there's even products named after it. And when he was younger, he lost his license. We got another guy up there, lost his license for a year for violations. Another duck country outlaw, you know, bad boy from the Black Swamp kind of fellas, right?
Yep.
And a lot of other guys with plenty of points on their license that are now our members up there. Some of our biggest supporters, folks that they're scared now. They're seeing the trend, and they've realized that they've been part of the problem for so long, and that if the change has to start from within. And so some of our most vocal supporters and conservationists for Public Timber Project are guys who used to be the problem. They used to be the ones out there setting the bad example. And this is, to me, this is kind of where the hair on the back of my neck stands up over this whole project, because you start to see the culture shift.
Right.
And when you start getting these outlaw boys on board and changing their ways and picking up garbage, you know, this turned into something bigger than we ever thought it would.
Yeah, you got them picking up garbage. They're starting to see ownership in that property. They're starting to take pride in that. They're starting to take pride in the habitat, take pride in the resource, the ducks, and that just changes your appreciation of all of it and how you're going to treat it. And that's pretty dang awesome, man.
Yeah, because, I mean, you look at all the problems we're having out in the woods, and there's a lot of hunter pressure-related issues, I'll just say, right? Yeah. There's a reason that we're seeing less ducks on public and more ducks on private, and it's because those boys on private, they're managing pressure. They're doing a better job of managing the ducks we are. Yeah, of course. And when we start talking to folks about the fact that, you know, this isn't new, I didn't come up with this, but public land hunters, we're members of the largest duck club in the country. And if we thought about it that way and treated one another like we were fellow club members, and we managed our public lands like it was our own private duck club, we would hunt different. We would. Yeah. We'd be more cognizant of our noise, our just overall disturbance, which is, of course, from the research perspective, that's the terminology they tend to use, is this hunter disturbance, right? It's disturbance, it's noise, but it's just your presence. Yeah. Right? Your presence in there, moving about, whether it's with a mud motor or an outboard. If you run through ducks, you're going to move them. That's right. Right. Now, you can make more ruckus with some of those, but it doesn't matter what you got if you're running through the middle of them. Right. Yeah, so go somewhere else. It's not a discussion about mud motors versus megas versus four strokes. We don't want to go down that path at all. Because I've owned a lot of mud motors. I got a lot of buddies that have them. But it's the disturbance, how they're being used, how the tool's used. It's exactly. It's that, and that's my, and I've made this comment on here before. I run a mud motor now. It's a great tool for the job, but it's loud, and so I need to be cognizant of that as I'm running it. Right. Don't go running around everywhere. I go to my hunting spot. I come back. You know, if I'm going to go scout, I go run that thing down the river or down the channel, park it, go for a walk. That's right. You know, that's right. That's minimizing your disturbance on wildlife. That's it. And, you know, you're not even on federal ground now, and I believe in WMAs as well, most of them, and this is branching out into other places. And I think you mentioned this, I think, on a social media post the other day, talking about scouting and just being aware of your impact on birds, right? Yeah, you want to run around, you want to find those birds. But as you run around, the more you run around, the more you harass them, the more they leave. Exactly. And that's kind of a cool point to get across, and just to help, hopefully, I'll say the younger generation, but just, I won't even say younger, the newer duck hunter, the one that didn't have that mentor, doesn't see that. My grandfather killed a lot of ducks with a 15-horse 7-reed. Yes, exactly. He drug that boat all over the place. So I've got a lot of holes that I hunt on public that me and my buddies hunt, and they're not like good holes. They're out of the way holes, right? Oh yeah, that I can get to every day and not fighting folks for. And I've learned this isn't anything original, but this is some of the mentorship I've been fortunate enough to have, and I've been blessed to be able to hunt with a lot of really, really good duck hunters over my life, and continue to. And there used to be a lot more talk and knowledge about how to manage a duck hole on public. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's even some famous hunters, and I feel like you start talking too much about this, you start giving away hunting secrets, and old timers get mad at you for talking about it on national podcast. But there used to be a lot of knowledge on you could hunt a hole, and depending on how you hunted it, that hole could hunt better and better and better day after day after day, or you can shoot it out and burn it out
real quick.
And that's all on how you hunt.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not talking about that stuff enough.
No.
And funny enough,
Nope.
One of my buddies who's one of the behind the scenes inspirations and guys that's going to be helping us a lot with our research is Bradley Cohen.
Mm-hmm.
And we're actually working on a project with Bradley right now. What I've kind of been referring to loosely is the 10 Commandments of hunting ducks on public, based off of Bradley's research. I don't even pretend to be smart enough to understand all of his research, but what I do read from
some really cool
his GPS data is that it's all lining up with how our grandpas hunted. It's not even anything new.
No.
He's talking about pressure. He's talking about noise and disturbance.
Mm-hmm.
When Bradley Cohen says that even though there's fewer hunters in the U.S. today, we're creating more pressure on birds than we ever have. That's us. That's how we hunt. That's cultural.
Yep.
That's not regulatory changes. That's not AGFC. That's not Fish and Wild. That's us. That's how we're hunting. We're changing in ways that we may not know we're doing, and that's hurting us. And so we look at boats being louder and faster. We look at music in the woods, stereos in boats, Bluetooth speakers in boats. You look at increase in hunter density. All of this starts to paint a picture of disturbance.
That's it.
And turns out that's not good. Ducks, like I say this, it sounds silly, but it's kind of one of those things I think a lot of young duck hunters need to hear. That ducks have eyes and ears, and they do not want to be shot, turns out.
Right. Yeah, who'd have thought?
Right.
And it's something that those GPS data, band data tells us the same thing. A mature duck, a mature mallard that survived at least one season is a hard duck to kill.
That's right.
They're really good at not getting shot. Who'd have thought? Right? And they cue into all those things. And so the more things like that you're doing, whether it's noise, disturbance, whatever bell and whistle you got running in the woods with you, those ducks key on that, and they're not dumb. They're gonna move on, and they're gonna go find habitat elsewhere. One of the cool things with Brad's stuff too, as you're talking about that, is you put that pressure on them, they start to feed at night, go sit in a sanctuary all day.
That's right. And it takes a long time to reverse those behaviors.
It does. It takes a weather event,
right,
or a massive event, whether it's a big cold front, or a big rain event, right, to put a ton of water on the landscape to make those ducks rework and move around. And so once they find that safe pattern, they're gonna stay on it until they have to break it.
Right.
Yeah. And so that's I'm trying to think back. I want to say it was 6-7 years ago. Like I said, I grew up hunting out of that Clarendon area. I don't hunt it anymore, but and we keep referring to that area. That's just kind of a spot that's a really good example of this. You could pretty much never shoot the ducks out of that place when the water got right.
Right.
They were gone in 10 days the last time I hunted it.
Yeah.
So that was impressive. It was the first time I'd ever seen, like, oh, the water's right. If the water's right, you go. And I got a decent hole. I stared at blue sky. A lot of blue sky. Maybe saw some high flying ducks. They wanted nothing to do with those woods.
And we're seeing a lot of mallards in January flying low at treetops, doing those playful mating flights.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, you start seeing that sort of duck behavior. At least the way I was taught, I was fixing to get good, boys, right?
Yeah.
Like they're low to the trees, the water's high, the ducks want to die today, right? They're flying low, and they're when
do it. Yeah.
You're going to finish big groups typically.
Oh.
And we're seeing, as part of what started getting people so alarmed, I think, a little bit, is you're watching lots of ducks work these woods, and they don't want in them woods for some reason. They're moving right over these woods to private refuge areas on the other side.
Yep.
They're finding places where they're not getting pressured, and they're not coming in these woods, and
they learn it quick.
That starts to scare folks, you know. And I think if you're new to duck hunting, if you're one of these newer, younger guys who or gals that just bought a boat and you're just braving it and you're driving to some public land and you're figuring it out, just to understand that what you're seeing up in the sky, this is really different than what we've seen traditionally for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
They're
Yep.
behaving differently.
Yeah.
And you look at the research and you go, oh, maybe we're playing a factor in this.
We are, and especially, and I'll come back since we did the BPOP kind of broadcasted waterfowl reports yesterday on that, and duck numbers stayed the same as they were the year before, but we're still down on duck numbers, right? May ponds were low, so habitat's not what it was. So you're not getting crazy duck production, right? You're not getting a lot of reproduction, not getting a lot of first-year mallards or first-year ducks in general. And based on that conversation we just talked about, that's going to make the sites that you're seeing and I'm seeing in the woods even worse, because you don't have those young, dumb ducks that are just going to come right in a hole and fly around and go in the woods. You got older, smart ducks that know how to avoid it, and that's going to make the game much tougher. We need water, on the prairies to try and hopefully give us some new ducks. But until then, we got to figure out how to work with what we got.
That's right. And part of that is educating our public land hunters to be a higher caliber of a duck hunter.
Yeah.
We need to start sharing some knowledge, and we need to collaborate with research and science to make sure that this isn't duck hunting according to our drunk uncle. Right?
That's exactly right. And Brad's lab has done some great stuff.
Right.
That's a Cohen lab, is what we're talking about there over at Tennessee Tech. And then Doug Osborne's lab has done some really cool stuff too. They've done some stuff on some Arkansas WMAs,
we're working with them as well and talking to them, along with some of the researchers from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Eli Stinson, some great folks, some other mallard studies.
Mm-hmm.
So if a bunch of nobodies from the boat ramp started doing these cleanups, and we could get all these smart guys to talk to us and help us understand all their research, and if we can cross-reference this with the way our granddads taught us to hunt, and we can bring our field experience, what we're seeing out there, like, hey, I may not be very smart, but this is what I'm seeing them ducks doing now. They didn't used to do this. And here's the other things I've seen change, all the noise, the disturbance, how we're hunting's changing. It seems like we might have a responsibility to just maybe open up a discussion about educating us to hunt in a different way.
Yeah, and I think that track, that mindset that you've got right there is critical. You're taking science. You're trying to take some of the best data you can get to show how our impacts on wildlife are changing their habitat use. But not only that, you're also trying to take that and disseminate that information down to new hunters to make the hunting experience better for everybody. Right?
That's right.
And that's a cool and a really, really cool, awesome approach, right? You've got all of it pulled together. I think one of the cool things about it is it's scalable. We can take that same approach, and you can go to Great Salt Lake. You can go to, Central Valley in California. We can go out to Chesapeake Bay. We can have that same approach, and if duck hunters will do that. And the problem with public land duck hunters is it is a competition. Everybody wants a good hole.
Oh, yeah.
And that creates some issues. But we all got to come back home every day. You're going to have, if you hunt, and especially if you hunt out of a boat long enough, you're going to need somebody to stop and pull you back to the boat ramp.
Right.
You're all on the same team.
Hey, if we're playing
healthy conflict is fine.
If we were playing a pickup game at hoop right now, we might have to just time out real quick and lay down some ground rules, right? To make this a good, fair, sporting game. And we can get right back to competing.
That's right.
But maybe there's some things we can do so we don't get injured, so we don't wreck that's all we're talking. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. Matter of fact, our concept of what success would look like in terms of change, and it ain't changing everything. It's just that 5% change. It's just changing the course heading on the ship by like 2 degrees. It's almost imperceivable in the moment, but over the course of 5-10 years, you're in a totally different spot of the ocean.
Well, that's it. Yeah. Yeah. And that first step.
That's right.
You've taken that first step, you're moving. So I think we've got a really cool idea now, and the listeners now probably have a really good idea on kind of the background, what your focus is. And I think now we will kind of want to shift gears a little bit and kind of talk a little bit about where you see it going. What's the next step? So you've done a couple of the big things you've already said. You've took that first step. You got people's buy-in. Where now? What's that next step look like?
Well, along this journey, we became a 501c3 nonprofit.
Awesome.
We're insured. We've got legal representation. We've even got an accountant because I don't know how to count past 10. I run out of fingers and I get into trouble.
You gotta start wearing flip-flops.
We've starting to receive some donations.
Awesome.
Which, and I'll tell you why we need that here in a second when I talk about the projects. We can fund all our work on our end for next to nothing, but all this takes a little bit of money.
Right.
And we got a website coming out. We're going to have a research page link on there that's going to be linked to the Osborne Lab and to the Cohen's Wildlife Lab, and kind of so public land hunters have one spot they can go to if they want to nerd out. They can nerd out. We're going to have some like cheat sheet educational products on there.
Awesome.
Bradley Cohen's working on one of those with us. I mentioned the 10 Commandments of public land duck hunting. That'll be on there, and we'll have a link for all of our upcoming events. So there'll be one spot people can go. They can get a little bit smarter. They can figure out how to get involved. So that's pretty cool. That'll be coming out shortly. That'll be publictimberproject.org. It'll be our website name. We'll have a link for y'all below. So that's sort of new for us because we went from just some rednecks with an Instagram page to seeing this turn into a grassroots movement, and then deciding that it's time for us to be professional and start thinking bigger about what we can do.
Well, that's what drew our attention. That's why we're here today, and that's what we're talking, because I saw it, as I mentioned earlier. Like I saw this early on last year during duck season. You said that was pretty new catching on, but I saw kind of what you're doing, where it was going, and the most inspiring thing about it was watching that follower level tick up. You were getting attention. You were gaining traction. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. How can we help out?
Yeah, well,
how
that's
can
awesome.
we get involved? And as I talked about, I told you as you kind of walked in, it was really funny because I've been talking about this a little bit, and then I had one of our regional directors and a development director call me on the same day, like, hey, we gotta do something here. I was like, that's all I need. I need someone to just say go. And I'll jump on this because I'm a big fan. And so you gained attention from the right people.
I hope so. Yeah.
And I think that's the really cool part. And so you're looking at doing cleanups. That's kind of where you've been. But what's your next step now?
So, we talked about a little bit on the break that part of our motto is don't come with advice and don't point fingers, come with solutions.
That's it.
We're only interested in solutions for problems on the public land. I don't care who's to blame. I don't care about the history and old animosities. We don't care who caused the problem even.
Right.
We're just interested in how we can fix it and solutions and how we can do that on our own. We believe that a lot of these problems we can just fix on a Saturday afternoon ourselves if we just show up and do it. Yeah. But obviously, there's some bigger issues we'd like to get involved. So we went down that legal path to become an actual nonprofit legal entity. And that's important because it turns out government land management agencies and even Ducks Unlimited, y'all can't partner with a Facebook page.
No.
That's not a legal entity.
Right.
But y'all can partner with us now. We can actually start having discussions. Public land hunters can start having productive discussions with these agencies of what partnerships would look like.
Yeah.
And so we're having some of those discussions right now, and it's pretty exciting. I think one of the biggest success stories yet so far is with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and all the refuges in Arkansas. I've had the pleasure of meeting with all of the refuge managers in the state, and in particular on the White and with the Cache River and Bald Knob Refuge and those folks. Man, we're in like ticks with them boys.
They're good folks.
And
they're grossly understaffed.
The Cache River right now has one employee. Entire Cache River. So if you're a fan of Rex Hancock, anyone who's watched the Shin film on 7 Mile Wound and Rex Hancock and like shed a single tear, which I do every time I watch that movie. That's like prerequisite at my duck camp. You got to watch the Rex Hancock Shin movie, And you think about that whole place that our predecessors fought so hard, and we got one feller out there to manage the whole thing. I think he's got like 180 beaver dams holding trap water on trees, killing them. All the roads need to be graded. All the ditches need to be mowed.
Right.
Plus, he's doing all the field research himself. One gentleman.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's a huge opportunity for us to get engaged right there and to say, hey, if you love hunting these places, even if it's not where you hunt. I mean, we've got Black River boys coming down to the Cache River, even though they'll never hunt the Cache River. They're coming down to help us on work project days, to help ban birds, help Eli and us with beaver dam removal and all that kind of stuff. Those sort of projects are. So we're able to have those discussions now and start to form those partnerships. We're having a lot of really great discussions with Arkansas Game and Fish Commission. We don't have a partnership agreement in place yet. Right. I'm hopeful that will come one day. But we're talking to them. We're actually having discussions with them about what it would look like for us to work together and not be adversaries anymore.
Right. Well, and I don't want you to jump too far down that and put any incorrect information out. But what is your hopes, I guess? What are you wanting?
Yeah, so
because I think you've talked a little bit about this a little bit, and it's not a major ask.
No, so I'll tell you, we want to start small and have successes and build some trust and relationships with these agencies so that we can build on that trust and tackle bigger projects. Yeah. So where we would like to aim for this next season, if we can't do it this next season, we're going to aim for the season after. And this came up during the cleanups. Came up in particular up at Ashbaugh on the Black River. Mm-hmm. I think Ashbaugh had 1,000 boats and trucks lined up for opener this last year. I mean, that's wild. That's a lot of boys lined up to go duck hunting.
That is.
They all had to go to the bathroom. And I hate to talk about unclean acts on a nice show like yours, but when we start cleaning up, you get back in the woods, that's 1,000 trucks. You figure that's 2 fellers per boat. Nobody takes a bigger poop than a duck hunter. They had to go somewhere. You get back in the brush just about 15 yards further away from where the garbage is, and it's poop city, brother. I mean, it's and toilet paper all over the place.
Wow.
And that's not something that I can ask some volunteers to go just clean up with the garbage bags. We saw that, and we kind of hit the pause button when we started really seeing that, and we started seeing it at all the boat ramps. And it makes sense because we're spending the nights there. Like, this is where we sleep.
People are sleeping in their trucks, getting in line.
You're going to go to Sonic, get you double bacon, and you're going to hit the gas station up. You're going to go get in line, and about 3 in the morning, you're going to go someplace.
Things starts happening.
Yeah, things happen. It's nature.
Yeah.
And so, right off the bat, we thought, well, we need to put porta potties and trash services at these boat ramps. If they're going to get this much pressure, this is a way we can manage ourselves and not point the finger at another agency. Or hunters themselves, we can bond together and say, hey, let's fix this problem ourselves. So we're working on agreements with the state of Arkansas and with the Fish and Wildlife Service to permit us to manage sanitation services. And we'd like to start off simple and small, just a few boat ramps up. We'd like to start off with a few boat ramps up on the Black River and a few boat ramps down on the Cache River, because we're going to have to work through some things. There's going to be some problems. There's some concerns.
Of course.
So we start with a small pilot program, and we see where it goes, and we can prove to these agencies that we can successfully manage ourselves and manage our public lands in a real common sense way. Then we could look at expanding that program all across the state, any high-use area where we're really hammering.
Well, I think that's a really unique niche you've got there, too, because the WMA managers, they're biologists. They're not people managers. They have to be. But that's not what they're trained to do, right? They're out there to put habitat on the ground and to maintain that type of stuff, and they weren't taught in school how to deal with 1,000 boats at a boat ramp, And the game wardens are like, I don't know what to do with this.
Game wardens aren't even hardly sleeping during hunt season. They're run so thin.
Personnel's not prepared to handle that, and so just having that one little thing out of the way to keep things cleaner, more sanitary around a boat ramp, I think that's a awesome place to start.
Yes, that's one of our big projects we want to hit. We also are looking at a number of these boat ramps that, there's a handful of boat ramps that have turned into really busy access points, but they're not even officially boat ramps. There's not adequate parking.
Right.
It might just be kind of a muddy spot between a couple of trees that folks are sliding their boats into. So let me talk about the business end of doing some of these projects. And this I get really excited about this. So we started looking into, I got some bids for porta potties on the Black River and Cache River so we could propose these ideas to the agencies. Yeah. And I had a great discussion with a gentleman from AGFC. I won't mention his name, but great guy. I've been working with a bunch. They've all been really awesome working with us in this whole thing. And he said, we used to do this years ago. Some of these WMAs, I don't remember this, but I believe them that they used to put them out, and they quit putting them out there because they weren't cost effective. And I asked him, can you tell me what state was paying for some of these sanitation contracts? And he told me, I won't quote it on here, but it was a lot of money.
Right.
Well, for us to do it as a nonprofit with a partnership agreement or just a special use permit, doesn't even have to be, there's different layers of ways we can hold hands with these agencies, right?
Yep.
But just with a special use permit, I could do both rivers, write a check right now for less than $10,000, and I could have 2 porta potties at 3 boat ramps on the Black and 2 porta potties apiece, at 3 boat ramps on the Cache, plus dumpsters for less than $10,000. So that's, $10,000 is a lot of money, but when you start talking about the scale of this and serviced on a regular basis, that's so much cheaper than the government can do it through their bidding and contracting process.
Right.
So it's so streamlined. This is kind of like the perfect marriage of how can nonprofits, and you guys
we know this story. We know this story pretty well.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna kind of take a quick tangent and come right back because you talked about all these places, and one of the pleasures I had at the Ducks Unlimited Expo was I had Lake Pickle on from OnX, and we have a layer on OnX, and there's a little duck head on that layer on every piece of public land we've done a project on. There's over 4,000 dots.
That's
on that
awesome.
map, right? You'll see them on every WMA you just mentioned has some form. So DU's invested in those types of things, but we don't do that type of stuff. We're helping that refuge manager or that WMA manager, we're helping them get a new water control structure.
Right.
Things like that, because we can do things a little differently than they can, right? So, and it works as a great partnership. And so I think this is a really cool niche that y'all found in a way to take some of the stress off of the system.
That's right. That's all we're trying to do. We're not fooling ourselves that we're going to fix everything. We're just trying to make it better.
You're making it better, but also you're also creating this really unique and cool community where duck hunters can come together. And so if you start coming together to boat ramp cleanup and you meet people, right? And especially if you've got guys like, this is your duck camp. You got 3 or 4 duck camps coming together, say on Black River or one of these public WMAs, whatever, and they meet each other, right? It's
powerful. We've seen some connections
that's Joe,
made.
That's Larry, whatever.
Well,
you see each other in the woods.
Oh yeah, that ain't your enemy no more.
You got a different story.
Yeah,
that's your competition, maybe.
Yeah,
but that's your buddy.
You might end up hunting together now.
That's it. Yeah. We only got 2 guys. Come with us.
Yeah. So I'll throw 2 buddies under the bus here because just to tag on to this story, because this just happened about a week ago. Hunter Helms is a buddy of mine. He runs with the Dr. Duck crew, Dennis and Billy. He's the resident redneck there from Jonesboro that hunts the black with them boys. And Hunter's awesome, man. Great dude, great conservationist, good duck hunter, just good all around dude. And I got another buddy up Pocahontas, Bryce Decker, Black River Duck Calls. And folks know Bryce and old Black Ops Bryce Decker. And just speaking about this, I don't even know how it got started, but those 2 boys had been picking on each other online probably for a while.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say they were enemies, but they were lobbing some internet grenades back and forth a little bit. And I think Bryce maybe is pretty critical of the Dr. Duck crew and so Hunter's on board, and Dennis and Billy have been on board with the Public Timber Project. They're doing everything they can to support us, and Bryce is a buddy, and he's completely on board. Bryce Decker's a Public Timber Project, one of our leaders. And so this tension between these 2 fellas surfaced up, and they kissed and made up. To make a long story short, they kissed and made up, and we're thick as thieves now. I wouldn't be surprised if we all start. And these are folks that we didn't see ourselves as the same team 6 months ago, but people are coming together in ways that we never anticipated when we did our first cleanup. And I tell you, that's pretty cool. When we start seeing that stuff, it starts to get a lot bigger than what we had originally planned this thing to be.
You're having that impact that you're looking for. You're not just changing a trash pile at a boat ramp.
And the young guys are watching this happen. And gals, these young hunters are seeing this.
You're talking about some of those internet grenades, so they're on some of those forums and pages that are
that's right
that are vocal,
that's right.
And that helps kind of fuse that. And that's incredible. Well, I think one of the things I want to talk about we still got a little bit of time. But one of the things, so how do you scale? Like, you're in Arkansas now, but you've been doing stuff in Mississippi, Louisiana, maybe in Texas, I guess, too.
Oh yeah,
And
I think we're in 10 states in Canada now. With
so this is
projects.
We've talked about Arkansas because this is ground zero. This is home for you. This is where idea came to fruition. But I don't want to set the impression that it's limited to that range.
And not even just timber. We'll be in South Louisiana this fall, where I don't even think there's a tree in sight doing cleanup. So
right, this is public timber project, but it's public lands and it's ownership and it's duck hunter motivated and it's trying to bring that culture, that change, that camaraderie back.
So let me tell you, there's kind of two ways this thing's scaling, and they also, it goes into the question of how can folks get involved.
That's it.
Answers both those questions. So one thing that happened right off the bat is we were organizing cleanups and folks would message us and say, hey, I can't make it. Is there any way I can get involved? And how can I get one of the hats? Because what's the point in doing anything if you don't got a cool hat?
You got to have a cool hat, apparently.
So that was number one priority is we got to have a whole bunch of cool hats and every kind of camo. And, why even get up if you don't have a cool hat to put on? Let's prioritize things here. We're still duck hunters, right?
That's it. Yep.
So folks wanted these hats bad, and the hats aren't for sale. We don't sell a hat to anybody. Yeah. You got to pick up garbage to get a hat. You want to put a sticker on your boat, you got to show me a bag of garbage to get a sticker.
That's all.
So folks, they wanted the hat, and I don't blame them. You can look at it. Thing's hot, brother. Hat. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So they'd reach out and say, how can I get one of these hats? I can't make the cleanup. And I don't know. I just kind of had that flippant idea. I said, well, just go do cleanup on your own and send me a picture of the trash bag next to the boat ramp sign, and I'll send you a hat and a sticker and a beer koozie with Public Timber Project on it, and as a thank you for cleaning up your boat ramp. And that took off like wildfire. And folks started doing cleanups left and right all over Arkansas. All of our non-resident Arkansas hunters were going home and cleaning up boat ramps. All over the South, especially Mississippi. And we've had so many cleanups come from, I bet you we've had 24 cleanups come from Mississippi. And those are folks just doing cleanups on their own. So that's one way how this scales out and spreads, turns into like a virus, little counterculture virus in the duck hunting world, which I love. Is just, you don't need anyone's permission. We don't need the government's permission, and you don't need my permission to go clean up your local squirrel woods, deer woods, turkey woods, anything. Clean them up, take a picture. Let me tell that. We want to tell that story. We want that to be the story that you see on Instagram and TikTok, not big log shots, lots of just kill culture, lots of dead ducks.
Right.
We want to tell the story of conservation, grassroots conservation. Send me that picture. And one of us in the Public Timber Project, you got a hat in the mail, brother. So that's one way. The other thing, this will lead into one of the projects we've got coming up, is folks will reach out with larger issues, something that maybe isn't just a quick afternoon cleanup job for one or two buddies. Yeah. One of which is Delta National down in Mississippi. You're familiar with Delta National.
I am, yeah.
So how would I describe Delta National to listeners who've never been there? It's national forest land, for one. It's not refuge land, but it's public flooded timber area.
Right.
Yeah. So Delta National's in trouble. Like, you talk about budget cuts and personnel and funding cuts. Delta National has zero operational funds for this year. And Brad Eldridge with Parish Waterfowl down there in Vicksburg, good friend, and he's a chapter president for Public Timber Project, by the way, too. Awesome dude. He's been trying to take the lead with trying to get Delta National back and operationally functional so that folks have a place to duck hunt down there. And so we're going to do a huge Delta National work day. I'm not sure when this podcast comes out, but that'll be October 11th.
October 11th. So I'll be listening for that because this may come out maybe a week or so before. So
yeah. And this is just going to be a big cleanup day, weed whacking, chainsaw work, getting the whole place cleaned up. And then having a real discussion about special use permits and then just the funding, what it's going to take to actually get the pumps up and running, fuel for the pumps, to get the whole place flooded and ready for duck season.
Yeah.
That's a long-term project. So you can do cleanups on your own, or if you've got a larger project where you live, maybe some public access issues that you're running into, reach out to us because we'll collaborate. Cool. And you can be the project leader.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we're getting big enough now. I can't be the project leader for every one of these projects,
Right.
but we can help guide you. We can show up and have meetings with the right officials from the agencies.
Mm-hmm.
We've kind of figured out a little bit of how to talk to some of these folks. And of course, being an ex-Fed myself, I speak that weird rhetoric that land managers speak. Yeah, there's a weird lingo to it. So that's the other that's kind of how we're scaling out. Is folks are reaching out with individual projects and saying, hey, and as long as they're clear that you're going to be the project leader and you need to follow some of our rules. And our rules are pretty simple. Be polite, be professional, and be solution oriented.
Yeah.
And if you can follow those rules, then we're on board. We'll support you however we can. Great being a 501c3 because we can receive donations to pay for some of these projects, and we can facilitate the permits to make it legal to work with these agencies, and then we'll show up with the volunteer force to get it all done. And we're seeing duck hunters cross state lines and help each other. We did a huge cleanup over in North Mississippi a couple months ago, and we had hillbillies and rednecks from Arkansas running around in the north woods of Mississippi cleaning up garbage in places that we will never hunt.
Right. Yeah.
And that's pretty exciting to see that because, duck hunting's always been so tribal. People just care about, this is where I hunt. I don't care about that river because I don't hunt that river, Yeah. And we're really flipping the script on that narrative. And we're kind of getting folks to realize that, hey, what's happening down in Louisiana and what's happening in Delta National, us going down and helping Delta National get up and running, that alleviates pressure in Arkansas.
It does.
All this stuff is connected. It's all tied together.
Opportunity, right? We all need opportunity. We crave opportunity, and that's going to be kind of one of the big things going forward, right?
That's right.
Well, we're kind of wrapping up close on an hour, but I did have a couple more questions. One of the things I want to ask is if people want to get involved.
Yeah.
How do they get in contact?
So reach out to us we're on Facebook at the Public Timber Project. We're on Instagram, the Public Timber Project. We'll have a website out shortly. Probably by the time this thing is released, our website will be up and running.
And we'll put links to all that in the show description. So,
that's right. And you message us on there, and if my spidey senses tells me that you're not completely crazy, then that leads to a phone conversation, and we can chat and just get to be buddies and figure out really how we can help. But just know that if you want to get involved, we don't need any more advice. Duck hunting's full of smart guys with advice and who's to blame.
Yeah.
Show up with solutions and be willing to kind of show up and shut up and do some work.
Do some work. Yep.
And if it's a big project, be willing to take the lead, and we'll help you. We'll help you navigate those waters a little bit, and then we'll show up. If we got a project going on someplace, we'll show up, and I'll bring boys from all over the place, and we'll help clean up. So reach out to us like that. And in the meantime, just do a local cleanup and send us a picture on Instagram. Send us a picture on Facebook. We'll post it. We'll get you a hat, and then you're part of things. One cleanup. You just do one cleanup. It'll change the way you think about that piece of public land. You'll have ownership in it. After one cleanup, it will change your relationship with that land after doing one cleanup. It's kind of crazy, but it'll change your heart a little bit.
And that's awesome. And that's kind of an incredible way and an incredible statement to kind of wrap things up on. So I'm going to let that lie. I am going to ask you one other question.
You got it.
Are you going to try and do any early season hunting? Any teal or Canada geese? I won't ask any.
No.
Like
I go crazy for the early teal season.
Yep.
And teal on public land is just folks just don't do it.
No.
And it's a little bit harder. It
is, especially down here. A lot of snakes and mosquitoes.
Oh yeah, and I'm a dog guy, so it's always a little sketchy because I have a hard time going hunting without my dogs.
And if you go far enough south, you get into them big lizards.
Big
lizards.
Yeah, snakes with big teeth. Yeah.
Well,
yeah, we chase. We've already been chasing some geese. We'll chase teal, and of course, the dove hunting. We get after it, but I think it's those early season opportunities. You talk about setting the tone for regular duck season, chasing the big ducks in the woods, and kind of having that old man's patience, that wait attitude towards every group of birds that you're working. That's a lot easier if you get that trigger finger itch all taken care of during early teal season. Sometimes, especially these young duckers, you just need to go shoot something. Like, I hate to say it.
A dove's a
but
good warm up for
you
that.
should go take
Burn
it out.
some shells
Go beat up some doves, and then then take a deep breath when the big ducks show up, and put on your big boy pants, or you know what I mean. And yeah, that's right.
Well, this has been awesome, and I absolutely love what y'all got going. I'm so glad you could come on and talk about it today. Listeners, if those of y'all are out there, please reach out to each if y'all have any questions, comments. Go look up their page on Instagram or on Facebook and look for that new website coming out. I think we can get behind them, and we can do better. I think we can do some awesome stuff, and I love the work you're doing. So I want to wrap this up. I've got to thank Rachel and Chris, who are hiding behind the screen over there, who put together an awesome podcast for us. And then I got to thank the listeners. Thank y'all for listening in, and I hope y'all enjoyed this episode. We'll catch y'all next time.
Thank you for listening to the DU Podcast, sponsored by Purina Pro Plan, the official performance dog food of Ducks Unlimited. Purina Pro Plan, always advancing. Also proudly sponsored by Bird Dog Whiskey and Cocktails. Whether you're winding down with your best friend or celebrating with your favorite crew, Bird Dog brings award-winning flavor to every moment. Enjoy responsibly. Be sure to rate, review, and subscribe to the show, and visit ducks.org/DU podcast. Opinions expressed by guests do not necessarily reflect those of Ducks Unlimited. Until next time, stay tuned to the Ducks.